Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Brothas-in-law. And on this channel, we discuss police involved incidents that occur around the country, and we give our analysis on the actions of those officers to see if their actions are what a reasonable officer would do. We'll also look at the actions of the citizens to see if they have followed our acronym of CALM, which stands for comply, answer questions, listen, and move on, where their situation had turned out differently. Now, you may agree or disagree with us, but it is our hope by the end of the videos that we do that you'll have a better understanding of how these incidents unfold. If you're new to our channel, my name is Corey, and I am a former Virginia State Trooper of 7 years and a retired Navy Chief Petty Officer of 21 years of service. And my co-host tonight is Mr. Michael Bradley. What up, dude?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, everybody? Goat, we see you on here. I'm Mike Bradley. I'm a retired law enforcement in Northern California, 26-year veteran, and also a 6-year Army veteran. So we got a good show lined up for you today. We had kind of wanted to talk about this. One of our viewers had mentioned this to us a while back, and we just never got around to it. But it was pretty interesting. Like I think a lot of people, Corey, don't know what to do if they're contacted by an off-duty officer in plain clothes for whatever reason, and they don't know what they should do or how they should react, or it comes down to, should you identify yourself? Is your identification sufficient enough? So we're gonna kind of tackle that a little bit on this show about off-duty stuff. And tell you the truth, more of the concerns for off-duty issues are really for the off-duty officer themselves, whether they should or should not get involved. But it's good to talk about stuff like that with citizens, because it also gives the citizen an inside look of what the off-duty officer should be thinking about themselves if they choose to get involved with something. You know what I'm saying? Right. So we're gonna try to tackle that today. We got a good one lined up. Hopefully you guys lace up your bootstraps, and we're gonna get it in.
Yeah, but before we jump into it, don't forget to head on over to our merch shop and grab yourself a Brothers-in-Law t-shirt to help support the channel. Also, if you got a video you like for us to get on the show and break down, because you simply have questions about that particular incident, please email us over at brothersinlaw21@gmail.com, and we will get your video on the show. And if you'd like to be a part of the show, give us a shout out as well. Hit us up and we'll coordinate with you and work a schedule out to get you on the show and break down the video with us. And it'd be a lot of fun. So, I lost my camera here. So don't be shy. Get on board. Let's have the conversation. So, like Mike said, everyone, we do got a good one lined up tonight. The title of this one is "What You Need to Know and Understand When Interacting with an Off-Duty Police Officer." We go out after shift with our families, out to eat, out to the mall, and we work 8, 10, 12-hour days, but even though we are off duty, meaning we're no longer in the uniform displaying the badge of authority, but however, you're still on duty. Almost like, you're really 24/7, as we get through this, maybe towards the end of the show, I'll share a situation that I was involved in off duty, out at the mall with my family, and had to take somebody, down. So what do you do, Mike, when you encounter an off duty officer? Well, this video, it didn't work so well for this gentleman, but however, setting it up real quick, this is in Chicago earlier this year, I think back in January of this year. Off-duty police officer comes out of her apartment complex. There are guys out there, arguing, whatever. She comes out and tries to de-escalate the situation, calm everybody down, find out what's going on. Hey, Sonya, welcome.
Hey, Sonya. Hey, Mr. Stater.
Find out what's going on. Guys disperse, and then it takes over from there. So, what does that off-duty officer, what are their responsibilities, Mike? Should they get involved? Should they not get involved? Like I say, you're always you're always on duty. This camera, I'm gonna throw it out the window. Stay put. You're always on duty, right? And like you said earlier, Mike, how does a citizen know that this person is for real? But we'll get into the video first, and then we'll give our analysis on it. But get those questions swirling in your brain that you want to ask about not just this video, but off-duty things as well. What you should do, what you should not do.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, it's a lot, and it's a lot that an officer needs to prepare for and be mentally prepared for those types of situations too. But let's look at this video, and we can see what happened in this incident, and then we're going to talk about general stuff about what you should do.
All right, let's roll. And this is a relatively short video too, so yeah. I'll try to do my best to hold my comments to after the video.
Yeah.
Shocking video captures an off-duty police officer threatening to shoot a man seconds before pulling the trigger multiple times. The deadly shooting all caught on camera.
I'm sorry. You got me. Okay. Please tell me for real. Baby, I'm sorry. Okay. Let's go right now. Okay, I'm sorry.
It happened on January 18th in Chicago. Just before 1 o'clock that afternoon, private surveillance video shows 39-year-old Leevon Smith arguing with a group of people. Eventually, an off-duty officer comes out of the building and attempts to stop the fighting.
Get right there, folks. Get right
Most of the people run off, but Smith stays behind with the officer. When Smith appears to reach for the officer's gun, a struggle breaks out. The officer can then be heard saying she will shoot him.
I'll kill you. You have to kill me. I'm sorry. You got me. Okay. Please tell me for real. Baby, I'm sorry. Okay. Let's go right now. Okay, I'm sorry.
After this, the officer continues to tell Smith she warned him.
Baby. Now you go down the jail. Damn, I'm sorry. Call the police right now. I'm sorry, baby. Didn't I? I don't want to die. Didn't I? Yeah, baby. Didn't I just say I'll kill you? I'm sorry. Didn't I just say that shit? Didn't I? I'm sorry. You just... I don't want to die, baby. Please. You call police. I just said somebody.
Eventually, the officer yells out to people nearby, demanding they call police.
You thought I was clear? I told you I'll shoot you. He tried to steal a gun from me. Call the police.
Audio also captures the officer's 911 call following the shooting.
Chicago, emergency line. Hey, Chicago, hello. This is Officer Dunn. I just got robbed and I shot the man. Can you please come to your off duty? Yes, I'm off duty, ma'am. Here they come right now.
The officer can be heard repeatedly saying Smith was trying to rob her, and later she swears at him.
Yeah, he tried to steal my gun. He just got robbed and I tried to help him. You're not leaving either. I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat you if you try to leave. See, how I'm gonna go somewhere. Oh, you baby. I don't give a about you. My life is on the line right now.
Eventually, first responders arrive. Smith was taken to the hospital for gunshot wounds to the abdomen and his left hand. He died on January 20th. The officer involved in the shooting was not charged, but Smith's family has filed suit against her and the city of Chicago.
All right, what you think, Mike?
Yeah, part of this video, another view that I've seen is is he actually continued to wrestle her after he was shot. He was shot like 3 times. She shot him 3 times. But in spite of being shot, he continued to try to wrestle with her until she shot him again. And then he finally gave up. But that's him talking after being shot. Okay. Now, why would he decide to just randomly steal her firearm? See what he did, folks. You got to look. He saw what he perceived was a weak target. He didn't care if she was an off-duty police officer. He wanted her gun, and that's what he tried to steal. He thought that he could muscle his way and steal her gun from her, and she was trying to fight to stop him. So, yeah, I think that's a good shoot. Well within her rights to use deadly force in that situation with him trying to steal her gun, you know. I mean, minus all the language that was used, that's all right. That doesn't bother me. He was trying to steal her gun. He was trying to wrestle her gun away from her. Even after she shot him, you know, he was still trying to do that. You know?
Yeah, I think you're right. In a separate video, I was trying to find one that had less commentating to it. I was just also trying to find one that just had straight police body cam, or well, there was no police body cam, but one that was just maybe a surveillance area surveillance camera, but I couldn't find one with just that. But I don't. It was hard to hear if she identified herself as an officer or an off-duty officer. Does that play a significant role in it? It could. Had she identified herself and made it known. Now, I couldn't tell because you can see at one point she lifts up the side of her jacket right there. I don't know if she was displaying a badge. I was kind of hear that audio. I think rule number 1 is, you know, if you're an off-duty officer and you're going to get involved in something, they should identify themselves. A lot of times, if you're carrying your off-duty weapon, you're also required to carry your off-duty badge with you as well. We had 2 badges. Yeah. One you wore in your uniform, and the one you had, they call you a little mini badge. You carry it in your wallet. And so you identify, you say, hey, Virginia State Police, off-duty, what's going on here? You still have to identify yourself, because when you articulate yourself in court, you know, we always say, hey, I was in uniform displaying the badge of authority. Well, I was out of uniform, but I still displayed my badge of authority. Even still, you know, the citizens got to be able to say, okay, all right, well, maybe there's some legitimacy to this. Let me, you know, comply. It's hard to say she did that. But even still, beside all that, right now she's off duty, so she's citizen, whatever her name is, and legally carrying a weapon, a firearm, right? And she's being robbed. Somebody tried to take her weapon. So is it a good shoot? Beside the fact that she was an officer, let's get rid of the fact that she's an officer, because she's not in uniform.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Even assuming she was not an officer.
Right. Yeah, if she was not an officer and this happened, was it a good shoot? What do you guys say to that? All right. Yeah. Now, the fact that you know she's an officer, do you still feel the same way? Right? What changed? Right? If you're yes to one and no to the other, or yes to one and no to that other one, what's your reasoning? Right? Yeah. You're not, even though I'm not in uniform, you know, I'm still a citizen. Right? I'm still a citizen. I still have constitutional rights.
If you try to wrestle my gun away from me, I'm going to shoot you. I'm not going to let you get my gun and then wait to see if you'll shoot me. If you're trying to wrestle my gun away from me, I'm going to shoot you. I'm going to pull my gun out and try to shoot you. That's what I'm going to do. And that's what she did. You know, that's reasonable. Okay. We're not going to wait for you to get my gun and shoot me and kill me, and for me to make a decision to say, okay, now what? You know, you took my deadly force away from me. Okay. So, and you used it on me, you know, so that's why I'm going to pull my gun out. If you're trying to wrestle my gun away from me, I'm going to try to shoot you. That's what I'm gonna try my best to shoot you.
To shoot. Yeah, and I'm okay with. Yeah, Goat says it looks good to him. Yeah, it looks good to me on a citizen's aspect, on the law side. And if you want to play that role, okay, well, she's an off-duty officer, she's a cop. Okay, well, you could ding her on the language, if you will. All right, but you still have, rights to freedom of speech. So hey, you try to steal my gun, I'm gonna kill you, dude. What you want me to say? Like, there's nothing scripted that says an officer has to say, talk to you this way. When my life is at hand, I don't give a crap about nothing. Words are going to just come flying out my mouth because I want you to understand what I'm telling you. I want you to know when I pull this gun, I'm not going to say, get off of me, I'm going to wound you. I'm going to wound you. No, you don't get your blankety blank hands off of me, I'm going to kill you. Which way you think is going to resonate more with someone, right? Hey, just get off me and I'm just going to wound you. I'm going to shoot you in your leg. No, I'm going to kill you, dog. If you don't get off of me, back away from me, I'm going to kill you, right? It resonates a lot more using that language, right? Versus, when we had to go do notifications, right? I'm not going to your house and say, hey, your loved one is no longer here or they're gone. No, I have to say your loved one is dead or was killed, whatever reason and why. It resonates different. So in this case here, I'm going to tell you, if I'm fighting with you and I'm getting ready to use deadly force, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to kill you. Now, I think, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was going to say, something else that a lot of citizens don't understand that from the get-go is not every officer carries off duty. Not every officer is required to carry off duty. It depends on what department you work for, what city you work in. Some departments actually require their officers to carry a weapon off duty. Obviously, as you said, Corey, if you carry your firearm, you best have your badge with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You better carry your firearm and your badge. Now, for us, we had to obviously carry both the badge and the fire. We didn't have to carry off duty. Let me rephrase that. It was not a requirement for us to carry a firearm off duty. That was strictly by choice. Okay,
it is a choice. It is
but
a choice.
If you do choose to carry off duty, you better have your gun, your ID card, and your badge. Okay, we had all three. We had what we call a flat badge. We had those. You better have all those things if you choose to carry off duty. Now, all the stuff that you got to consider, though, Corey, as an off-duty officer, before you get involved, some of the things I got to consider is, well, where am I at this moment? What am I witnessing at this moment? Do I have my family with me? Am I putting them in any kind of danger by doing what I'm getting ready to do? You know what I'm saying? I don't have handcuffs. I don't have a vest. Okay. I don't have a radio. All those things are missing when I'm off duty, So it really is a decision that you can't make lightly if you choose to get involved when you are off duty, because there's a lot of things that could go wrong and you don't have the proper tools to handle what's going on. You don't even have a cover unit, So there are a lot of things you got to consider when you try to get involved off duty. For me personally, if I was off duty, let's say perhaps I was carrying a firearm. If I chose to carry a firearm off duty, I would have to consider all those things. I would try to avoid getting directly involved, me personally, unless I had A, B, C, and D already. You know what I'm saying? I would try not to get involved and try to do what we always say, be a good witness. You know what I'm saying? Be a great witness. If I can pull out my cell phone and record what's happening, cool. Now, if it gets to a point where I feel that somebody is about to lose their life or about to get seriously hurt, maybe I probably would make the decision then to actually get involved. You know what I'm saying? But it would take a lot for me personally as an off-duty officer, minus all those things I just listed, for me to actually physically get involved? What about you, Corey?
Well, like I said earlier, I was in that situation. I was during the holidays, and I was taking the kids Christmas shopping, and there's a whole bunch of teenagers in the mall, and um, we were looking at shoes, if I remember correctly, and then all of a sudden you just heard a huge commotion. So I went out and looked, and I had them stay inside the store. I was like, oh man, this is going to get out of control. So they started fighting in there and everything. So I went over yelling, identify myself, state police, and end up apprehending two of those individuals and just held them down till they had police there, which they were on the other side of the mall, until they came over and I turned them over to them. But then it was like, all right, hey, all right, let's get out of here. But in that instance, the only reason why I did get involved is because somebody was going to get hurt. And we can't, yeah, the best thing you probably do if you don't want to get involved when you're off duty as an officer is to be a great witness. Like we tell citizens, don't get yourself involved. Get you and your family out of there first. That's your should be your number one priority. And then go back and assist if it's safe for you to do so. But in this situation here, where she was in, she didn't have the numbers. Numbers weren't even on her side. It was what, 2-3 of those guys, maybe 4. I think it was the fourth one. But 3 in camera view. If they all wanted to jump her, they could have jumped her. It's still one of those things. I think, and again, it's always easy to Monday morning quarterback these things when you're sitting back and watching. But and I'm sure she's probably has rethought this through herself, what she could have done better. Maybe possibly call the authority before you come out the complex to already have them en route and possibly on scene, before all this jumps off. That could have been one aspect, but the citizens' role, like, what role should they be playing in this when they encounter an off-duty officer?
Yeah, good question. I think a lot of citizens really don't know. If you come across someone who claims to be off-duty officer, okay, depending on what's going on, obviously, if it's a situation where you feel that they should at least show you identification, like a badge, show you a badge or something, okay. But you know what? For me, Corey, as the average citizen, does the average citizen actually know what a badge looks like in their department? Could they actually tell if a badge is real or not? These are all questions that citizens will have, I think. If just because you show me a badge, is that a real badge? Are you supposed to be the one to have that badge? Because they're going to look at all those things. But the first thing that I would tell them is, if you in a situation and somebody does identify themselves as an officer, whether you believe it or not, the best thing to do is, okay, well, let's call the police and have uniformed officers come to the scene, and we can solve this right now, right? The worst thing to do, especially if this is something that you're being accused of, is to try to walk away from that situation. This is why. Because if that's a real officer, remember what we always say, Corey, you don't know what kind of officer you're going to get. So if you do something that makes that off-duty officer feel like they got to escalate their contact with you, meaning they have to now use force just to keep you there, or if they really are trying to arrest you or something like that, that's the risk you run, is making them feel that way, and you could get yourself in more trouble. You know what I'm saying? So you always have that question of whether or not this person in front of you is legit. That's the first thing. And half the time, even if they are legit, the way some people are with hot heads these days, they don't care. You know what I'm saying? They'll still do what they want to do. They don't care if you're an off-duty officer or not. You know what I'm saying?
But I think, and they're more amped to run from you as well, because they don't know. But then again, it falls back on that officer now. Now they got to, hey, Delando, what's happening, man? Now that officer has to make that decision. All right, like you said, I don't have any handcuffs. I don't have any other tools to use. And I don't have no radio. So how am I going to tell somebody where I am? Right. So you got to make that conscious decision as the officer. Are you going to pursue that individual because now they think you're, some phony guy playing police and trying to, detain them. So, it would behoove you to, as a citizen, have a little hesitation with them, to figure it out, call the precinct 911 dispatch,
right.
But at the same time, still be courteous and respectful and comply, right? Until you can figure out what's going on. All right, do you have that now? If they ask you for ID, Mike, do you still give up that ID?
You know what? If I was a citizen and there was some reason that would make me think that the person that I'm dealing with is not really a police officer, okay, the first thing I'm going to say is I'm going to call the police myself, and I'm going to have a uniformed on duty patrol officer come, and we can, that's the easy fix right there. I'm not going to be, one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to have a hot head and get so angry and worked up that I'm just going to say, F you, turn around, walk away. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do that, because that officer, that allegedly officer, if you will, is claiming that I did something or I'm involved in something, and they feel the need to detain me or arrest me or whatever it is they're doing. And I think any off-duty officer who gets involved in that situation will understand that viewpoint. As long as you ain't acting a fool, okay, we can call the police. You go ahead and call the police. We can have a uniformed patrol officer come here, and we'll squash this and have this all worked out at that time.
Yeah. So you're saying don't give up your ID first.
If you feel that there's something going on, I don't think you should give up your ID. Or if you do, that's fine. But what I'm saying here, let me clarify. If there's an incident where you feel something is suspicious here with this person that's trying to stop you, okay, then not showing your ID is not the end all of all. You know what I'm saying? Again, I can call a uniformed patrol officer over here. If this officer is off duty, he or she shouldn't have any problems with you deciding that, let me call a uniformed patroll officer over here.
Okay? And that should be priority for them too, in getting a uniform officer out here. They should be making that call themselves to have a uniform, because one, if there is a reason to arrest, well, they can't properly arrest you, meaning put you in handcuffs and put you in a patrol car, because they don't have one there. So they would have to call the police. So I think I'm right along with you. I would say, hey, two things. One, the officer, they must remain calm themselves. Right? Don't, because you have, that officer has very limited resources available. So it would behoove them to make sure they keep a cool head. And two, the citizen keep a cool head, stay calm, right? Hey, all right, I'll wait right here. I'm not the person you want, I am the one you want, because I was in a bar fight or whatever. You just happen to be, and you broke it up. Hey, you guys wait here. We're going to work this out. We're going to get police here, whatever. I think if I'm also the off-duty officer, my best thing is to make sure I got good descriptions of them. If they decide, hey, what's your name? You want to tell me name? Fine. You don't. All right. but I know what happened. I seen what happened, so I'm a good witness. So if they choose at this point to run after I call the police to come, I'm a great witness. I got the description. I may have a good name for them. Maybe they just give me their first name, but I don't need to go any further than that. Because if I'm at a bar and they're at a bar, guess what I was doing? I was drinking too. But if you're off duty and you're at a bar, you should be taking your weapon inside the bar anyway.
Right.
And you definitely shouldn't be getting involved in anything.
Right.
But however, to this lady's point here in this video, I don't see anything wrong. Now, questions have arisen. I think she's also, or the family, the young man that was killed, is suing her and the department for I think like $10 million because
for excessive force or something like that.
Excessive force. But how are you gonna, she's not in uniform at this point. Like I said, she's just a regular citizen. So how you know what I mean?
And if they're suing her for excessive force, that's an indication that, well, she must have identified herself as a police officer, or they wouldn't even be going that route. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And because she also didn't render aid to him. Well, what aid?
Well, she by herself, first of all.
First of all, she's by herself, and what aid can she render? She has no.
She by herself with a guy who just tried to wrestle her gun from her and was still wrestling with her after she shot him. So I'm not gonna go hands on with that guy either. He gonna lay right there on the sidewalk until I got somebody else here to help me. I'm not worried about first aid. I'm not worried about him bleeding out. I ain't worried about none of that stuff until I get a cover unit there with me.
I have no way of addressing any of those issues other than call rescue. Did she call rescue? Yeah. Did she call the police? Yeah. My job is done. I do. What do you want? I don't have quick clot with me. I don't have any bandages, wraps, or whatever to try to stop any bleeding. So what you want me to do?
And again, that's even more of the things an off-duty officer has to consider before they decide to get involved in something that could end up that way. You know what I'm saying? Right. Look at all the things that you could make a full checklist, a page-long checklist of all the things that should be going through an officer's mind if they are off-duty and they choose to get involved into something, especially if they're off-duty and they even if they don't have a gun, it even raises the level of, man, I don't really have nothing to get involved here, really. You know what I'm saying? If I'm carrying a firearm, well, at least I have a firearm. But A, this could happen. B, this could happen. C, this could happen. And I don't have anything but my firearm, my badge, my cell phone, if I got a cell phone on me at that particular moment. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean,
hey, Jesus love you. I see you.
Hey, yeah, Jesus love. Welcome, brother. I mean, it's so much that has to go through the mind of an officer, when they're off duty. But the primary thing with the citizen is just, be cool, be calm, right? Comply to a certain extent until you feel comfortable and for a fact that this off-duty police officer is who they say they are. And then once you get the uniform patrol officers there, then still comply, answer questions, listen, and move on, whatever the case may be. But you are okay with having a certain level of suspicion until you're able to figure that out. Now, it doesn't mean going, taking off running, because like Mike said, you don't know what type of officer you're going to get. And watching this video, Mike, I'm thinking now, maybe she did not, or maybe she did tell them that she was an off-duty police or a cop, because I mean, unless this guy knew her and knew she would carry, because he went right for the gun. So and I don't know, maybe when she lifted
and he did it, he was unprovoked when he did it. It's like, makes you think like, well, why would he decide to all of a sudden decide to do that?
I mean, it was like he was waiting for his moment to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was bent over. She started walking off, and she was actually trying to help him out. So she says in the video, and he, and tries to rob her and steal her gun. But would I have done that? I probably would have squashed him. I mean, you're right outside where I'm living in my apartment complex. I don't need that foolishness in there. But however, I probably would have called ahead and say, hey, send a unit over here. I've got this disturbance going on, and I'm going out here, and we need to get to squash, whatever. But she didn't. Does it make it wrong? No. Did she do everything what she should have done? And now again, this point, I'm not looking at her as an officer. I'm looking at her as a citizen right now, right? Because at this point, that's what you have to look at, because she's not on the clock, right? And so,
and in the citizen's mind, we're assuming that maybe on the chance he didn't believe she was a cop, or he just didn't know. Either she identified herself as a cop or she didn't. You know what I'm saying? Nonetheless, you know what I'm saying? She still had a right to protect herself, and she still did the right thing, because I'm not going to let somebody wrestle a firearm away from me. But one thing a off-duty officer is not going to do is they're not going to put you in their car and transport you anywhere. Okay, so I will say that much. So just so people know, that ain't gonna happen. And if it does, I would strongly discourage you from getting into any car of anybody who is claiming to be an off-duty officer without a patrol unit being present. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, Corey, any off-duty officer, they're going to have to call up the marked patrol unit anyway. Okay, at some point, they're not going to, because they don't have the equipment and they don't have the means to do everything they're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And if they're trying to put you in their what looks like their personal vehicle, you don't see any police antenna, police lights in the vehicle. Now at that point, it's time to exit. All right, there's something wrong, very wrong with that scenario right there. So I mean, just be very cautious, be safe, do things the right way. Until you get it figured out. That this is real, especially if you've been involved in something, and then there's a chance that individual, is a off-duty police officer. Like I said from the beginning, y'all. I mean, they should always identify themselves to you. Mm-hmm. Hey, my name is Trooper Taylor. I'm with the Virginia State Police. I'm off duty. What's the problem here? All right. At that point, you can share. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and call another unit here, and they're gonna, you just turn it over to them. At that point, now that takes that off-duty officer out of the scenario, because I'm not going back to the office and I'm not doing any paperwork on this. I'm a citizen, right? I'm a citizen. I just happen to be an off-duty police officer that's trying to de-escalate a situation, but it's the marked units that are come. The uniform officers that's going to come, they're going to take the report and they're going to follow up on everything. At that point, I'm just going to be a good witness. Yeah, you can subpoena me.
I'll be the best witness, but I ain't that is it.
You can subpoena me to court.
Right. I mean, for me, I can tell you that I never tried to get involved in an off-duty incident for those reasons. I would much rather be a good witness than anything. Because it's, as an officer, it's too much that I would need, or I would feel that I would need, if I'm going to get involved into something like that. It would have to take something really crazy or something for me to pull that card. You know what I'm saying? And say I'm Officer Bradley, I'm off-duty officer with whatever department, and I'm doing this, and I need to find out what's going on. It would take a whole lot for me to do that. I tried to get involved. Sometimes I carried off duty, sometimes I didn't. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time, no, Corey, I didn't even carry off duty most of the time. Really? But again, that's my agency, folks. Yeah, that's by agency. Some, like I say, some agencies actually require you to carry off duty. You know what I'm saying?
At that time, ours did not. It was by choice, and also too, they're making an argument too. I think it was part of the lawsuit is that the gun she used was not her service weapon, was an issue to her. Well, you don't, for us, and this is state police here in Virginia, they have an authorized list for you that you can use to purchase your off-duty weapon. As long as that type of weapon was on that list, you can have it as your off-duty weapon. And obviously, you had to get to get it the way you would normally get a firearm, purchase a firearm, but then you had to bring it to the headquarters, and they get the serial numbers and everything off of it, and you carry it as your off-duty weapon.
Yeah, for us it was similar to that, but most of my career we were assigned a firearm issued to us by the department, and then, like you said, your off-duty firearm, as long as it was within the parameters of what was allowed, you can carry pretty much anything you want off duty. But as I started to retire, they had changed that, so even on duty, you can actually carry your own firearm that you purchased on duty, as long as it was within the parameters of what the department requires. And you had to obviously qualify with that firearm. So if you wanted to carry a Glock, you could carry a Glock. If you wanted to carry a Smith & Wesson, you could carry a Smith & Wesson. As long as it was the caliber that's supposed to be and you're qualified to use it, you could carry whatever you want. But it wasn't always that way.
That was another criteria too. You had to qualify with your off-duty weapon as well. But that's I don't think that part of the lawsuit is going to stand up. I mean, especially if it was an authorized one for her to carry during this, I think she'll be fine there. But again, my argument would be why are you trying to justify this individual who made the choice to try to rob this individual? Mm-hmm. She told him, "You don't stop, I'm going to kill you." She told him, I'm going to shoot you. Well, why didn't he stop?
And she was wrestling with him for a minute, before she decided to shoot him, but it happened.
Some would say, Mike, well, why didn't she just run? She could have ran back. And what would you have ran? Me? No, I'm going to stand ground and take, because you're not going to steal from me. And who knows, what if he would have, followed her into the apartment, back into her house? Would you want it to get that far? No, we're going to stand right here and we don't retreat. I'm not going to retreat in no fight. And you trying to steal from me. Like,
you can also argue that she had even more so to be afraid for her safety, her life, because she's a female by herself. Okay. And he looked like in size, like he was much larger than her. His stature was much larger.
Yeah. Well, a lot taller than her too.
Right. So, she don't need to be getting to a wrestling match with that dude who's trying to grab her gun. Yeah. That's even more justification for her.
I would tell cats that was bigger than me, and I'm taking them to jail. I'm like, look, man, you do something stupid, because for us, you rode in the front seat. You didn't get in the back seat. So we didn't have no steel cage, anything like you guys had, right? You rode in the front seat with me. So I would tell you, like, you do anything stupid, I got 15 friends on the side of me that will be introduced to you. Or this car goes 140 miles an hour. I'm going to put this car in a tree on your side. So don't do anything. I'm not going to fight because you're too big. Like, dude, you're too big for me to fight. I'm just going to shoot you.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a fair fight. Police fighting. There ain't no such thing as a fair fight.
No, it's no such thing as a fair fight. I think, and that's the problem I have too. It's like you expect the law enforcement folks to follow the script. Like, well, no, you can't do this. You can't do that. You can't hit that way. You look, man, I'm fighting. There's no where the rules at in a street fight. They show you basic techniques that you can use to help you in these types of situations. But if you're not a really good fighter, no, this is all. Hey, look, all's fair and level. If I find a brick on the side of the road and you whooping and wailing on me, you don't think I'm gonna pick that brick up and hit you upside the head? You doggone right. It's a fight. It's a fight for your life.
Yeah.
Who's going to win? Who's going home? You or them? I just.
But it's crazy though. Now you got some people like this guy's family is trying to sue her now because she used what they claim was excessive force and in spite of him trying to wrestle her firearm from her, they feel that it was excessive.
Do you think this is a good lawsuit? I mean, when you look at it now, granted, yeah, if this was your loved one, yeah, you probably would, try to find some way to sue. But in reality, would you be suing? I mean, especially if you know they were in the wrong.
No, I would.
What
people do all the time.
Right, but what did you expect her to do?
Yeah, that's true. But you know what? The way things are going nowadays, they might try to settle with this family anyway, out of court, whether right or wrong, just because they don't want to go through the court system with it. You know what I'm saying? Which happens all the time.
Now, yeah, right. Now, would they get the 10 million? Probably not. Will they get at least several $100,000? Probably so. Just because, like you said, Mike, and they don't want to get up and get this, have this, drug through the courts for the next, 3, 4, 5 years.
Right.
They just go ahead and offer a settlement. But when you do that, in my opinion, that just makes the agency look as though, that officer was in the wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, that could be another whole episode we could talk about, that. But, the bottom line is, understand that, still remain calm when interacting with an off-duty law enforcement officer. Don't overreact. Get the situation under control. Once you acknowledge that they are an authentic officer, they are displaying a badge of authority, then comply, answer questions, listen, and move on. Now, if you end up going to jail, you go to jail, right? Don't escalate the situation and make it more worse than it already is for you.
Right. That part. You gotta all look at what's within reason. You know what I'm saying? Even when the off-duty officer identifies himself to you, they should identify themselves to you. And everything is always within reason. Like if you just shot somebody and I got a gun trained on you, I'm not worried about pulling my badge out to show you my badge. I might just say, off-duty officer, I need you to stop, put the gun down or whatever you're doing. You know what I'm saying? But that's extreme circumstances. I mean, for bottom line, for basic citizens, just understand what you should do if someone does come up to you and say, I'm off-duty officer, I need you to something, whatever it is, or I need to arrest you, or you're detained, or you can't go anywhere, or something, whatever that is. The best thing, again, we'll say this over and over, that's fine. If you want to verify who this person is, say, okay, let's call the police and let's have a uniformed police officer come out here. Got no problem with that. You know what I'm saying? A uniformed officer can come out there and square that away instantly, just like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just like that.
Don't have a hot head. Don't get so angry and caught up in your emotions, whether or not you agree with what that officer is saying you did or didn't do. You know what I'm saying? If you get caught up in your emotions and you have a hot head and you just try to walk away, if you get that kind of officer that will try to chase you and tackle you down, that's what you want to avoid. You don't want that officer to feel like he got to use any more force than what is necessary to stop you. That's it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
And that's just, if you say, okay, that's cool. Remember, they ain't going to transport you anywhere without a patrol unit. You know what I'm saying? They ain't going to transport you anywhere. We going to stand right here until his uniform officer comes on scene.
That's it.
Hey,
Well,
real quick, switching up a little bit. This ain't gonna take but a second. A viewer had sent a video of some issue in Florida where they were talking about gun laws and they were being approached by an officer while this guy was fishing. We ain't gonna get too caught up into that whole deal. Just what I'll say to that is, whatever state you're in, know the laws of carrying a firearm in that state, when you can, when you cannot carry a firearm. Okay. If an officer comes up to you and you happen to have a firearm, okay, don't be defensive about it. If the officer says, let me see your firearm or whatever, you know what I'm saying? In Florida, I was looking, I guess they have some little caveat in their gun laws that say if you're fishing, you can openly carry a firearm, which I don't understand that. Why that's a distinction, but okay. And I think that video that viewer sent us, that was somebody who was trying to get a reaction from the police. They were hoping they would get contacted and trying to get a reaction out of the citizens and the police. Why? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But that's all we'll say about that. Know the laws in your state. Be respectful when you get stopped by an officer. In California, open carry is illegal unless you got a permit to do so. Okay. And if you got a permit to do so,
you can open carry.
You can open. Okay. So in California, if you got a permit to do so, an officer can come up and demand to see your firearm, open carry firearm, make sure it's safe or inspected. That's a requirement for having a concealed carry weapons permit in California. That's actually on their permit, and part of their application for getting a permit is they understand that. But it's no big deal. If an officer comes up to me because I'm open carrying, you got to use your head and understand, would you make some people uncomfortable if you carrying an AR-15 slung around your arm and you just fishing? Yeah, you might. That's reasonable. If I'm an officer and someone calls the police to say, hey, that person is carrying a firearm and it's scaring me, you know, well, first I'm going to decide if this is something that I need to contact you for. Okay. And if I do, it's going to be consensual contact. I'm just going to casually say, hey, how's it going? You know, somebody called and said they were intimidated by you carrying a firearm, and they want to make sure you're not some crazy lunatic around here waving your firearm around. You know what I'm saying? That's all. That's all it is, you know?
Yeah, I actually had the video here. I mean, it's a short video, but I mean, we sometimes saying I can put it in the description down below. After the show, if viewers wanted to check it out. But when you see the video, it's almost like this guy was doing it to get a reaction, because if you look at any of his other videos he's posted on Facebook, he does things to try to bait police in and get them on camera doing something, you know. Well, you don't know the law, and you want to know the Constitution. You don't know the Constitution, but he's just trying to bait these guys in. And a lot of times, sad enough, sometimes the officers take that bait and they end up getting hooked up. Right. Jesus Lovey said, "Do you think that officer was harassing the guy?" You talking about the video we just did with the shooting in Chicago, or are you talking about the one Mike is talking about, the fishing one?
If it's the fishing one, I would say no, because that officer probably was called, and a citizen probably called the police.
That
officer decided to approach that guy and probably question him about the firearm or why he was openly. In that case, he was carrying an AR-15. Okay, why are you trying to get a reaction? I don't think it's harassment. I think it's, hey, just letting them know, hey, somebody called the cops on you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I don't think it's harassment. I think he was just merely contacting a guy. He wasn't detaining the guy. He was just contacting him.
Yeah,
In that case, I would say no, that's not harassment. An officer can, consensually contact anybody for any reason.
And remember too, Mike, he was called to the scene.
Mm-hmm.
It was a call for service, so he's obligated to go and investigate, if you will. Hey, just make sure. And I mean, the video is about 4 minutes long. He makes initial contact. The guy didn't want to give up his name. He's like, before we start this conversation, what's your name and badge number? And the officers give it to him. I mean, you can tell he's being real snobby because the officer says, hey, we're just getting this conversation started. Why are you being so defensive? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just asking you a simple question, and he said a citizen call. Well, the fisherman got a little irritated because, a citizen called in. Oh, a citizen called in because you see a man fishing with the AR-15. And I'm glad you said it. I mean, it's good to know your laws in your state, because I didn't know that, apparently you can carry an AR with you when you're fishing, but then not when you're fishing. And it's crazy. I don't get it, but hey, that's Florida. So, if you're from Florida and you're watching it, please explain that to us, because I like to know how that actually works.
Yeah, I read it the other day. I thought it was kind of strange, but okay, that's how they work. But and if I remember, they have to have a concealed, or if I'm not mistaken, they had to have a permit to carry a firearm, like concealed or something like that. I can't remember. Check the Florida law, because they're all different across the country.
They're all different. But the good thing, he didn't bait these guys in. I mean, they clearly see that nothing was wrong. They've seen that this guy is really just trying to bait them in, and they end up walking away. And he's like, scoring his point like he really did something, but he really didn't. They knew nothing was there. They knew they were obligated to respond to the call for service for whatever reason. They checked it out. The guy was within his rights to do it. Then they knew that, and they were just trying to make sure he knew that. And he was making a mountain out of an anthill,
I think he was trying to make a mountain out of an anthill.
Yeah.
I think he was part of probably some organizations that do stuff like that. They want to provoke. They want to provoke discussion, really, about the law in their particular state, and whether or not the officers know that law and are correctly enforcing it or incorrectly enforcing it. You know what I'm saying? And you know what, Corey? To some degree, I don't have a problem with that. But if you are trying to provoke something to have the officers have to respond to contact you, I have a problem with that. Because, like they always say, officers probably got something better to do than just respond and talk to you because you have an experiment you want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
I mean, if you want to go that route, just go down to the precinct and ask the duty sergeant that question.
Yeah.
Right. And then they can break open case law and in the code sections and everything for you. Hey, well, here it is right here in black and white. Don't go out there and, disrupt this officer from his regular patrol beat to discuss with you and have an argument with you because you want to try and voice your point. Go down to the precinct with that mess. So it is what it is. But I'll link that link down there below. It's down. It's actually from Facebook, and you can check it out when you have a chance. But we're going to wrap this show up for tonight. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoyed this conversation. Leave us a comment down below with your thoughts on this video, what you need to know and understand when you interact with an off-duty law enforcement. And if you got a video you'd like for us to break down, please hit it. Send it to us over at Brothas-in-law21@gmail.com, and we'll get it on the show. And we'll actually like to have you on as well and get your questions out and be on the show. Mike, final words.
Now, thanks for joining us, Goat. We see you on here. Sonia, Mrs. Taylor, I see you on here. Let's see who else chimed in. Stacy, I see you, Stacy. Thanks for joining us, Orlando. You know, and Jesus love you. Yeah.
Nicole over on Facebook.
Nicole. All right, cool. Appreciate you all you guys tuning in for our show. And until the next time, have a good weekend. Be safe.
Yep. Have a good one.
Remember, stay calm.
Yep. Comply, answer questions, listen, and move on.
Move on.
All right, y'all.
See ya.
All right, God bless y'all. Love you.